right, this is it. This is episode 1 of the Mark Ormrod podcast. And it's actually a relaunch. Um, this is not the first podcast I've ever done. I used to have a podcast called the NoLimits podcast, which was slightly different to the direction I want to take this one in. But like we just talked about off air, this is very conversational, very relaxed, and I just want to have some fun with this. So, Alex, listen, thank you so much for being the first guest ever on the
Oh,
Marketing Podcast.
I feel privileged.
Mate, the honor is all mine. The very first thing I want to do is get you to pronounce your surname.
I want to flip that back. You say it. How do you think you say it?
I don't have a clue, mate. I've been online. I've been searching for everything on Instagram, and I've seen Bez, and then I remember seeing a very long version of it, and I tried pronouncing it once, and I just failed. So it's your name. You say it.
It's actually really easy. It's Berezynskyj. It's just got a J on the end as well because why wouldn't it?
Berezinski.
That's it, Berezynskyj.
I'm just
Easy
gonna
as that.
call
It looks mad, doesn't it? But it's actually really simple, really easy to say.
Okay. Well, we'll stick with Alex, right?
Yeah, that's cool. Alex is cool.
Awesome. Well, Alex, thank you again so much for coming on. What I want to talk about is your life, your career in the military, and then bringing us right up to date to what you're doing now, because one of the things that I get the most joy out of in the entire world is seeing veterans succeed. You know, you might have experienced this as well. I'm sure a lot of veterans listening to this might have experienced this, but there's this narrative out there when it comes to veterans that we're either mad, bad, or sad. And we're all damaged physically or mentally, and we all struggle massively. And while that is true for a proportion of the veteran community, there's also a quiet proportion of veterans out there that are absolutely smashing life as a civilian, and you are definitely one of those. So I want
Absolutely.
to talk about that later. First of all, to shine a light on you and what you do, but also to inspire, motivate, and empower other veterans
A
to.
little bit of that. It's not to like devalue anyone that's struggling, of course, but like you've obviously stuff has happened, to put it bluntly, to both of us. Yours physically far worse than anything that's happened to me, but it doesn't define us, is what I was going to get at. Just because we are a little bit different, some stuff's happened to us. It doesn't define who we are. That's just a part of us, and it's part of our journey that's led us to where we are today, hasn't it? I mean, again, look at yourself. Like you're an inspiration to many guys. No homo. And but it's brilliant to see like where you've come as well. Like I remember watching your recovery when I was still serving, being like, fucking hell, like look at this guy, to the point of following you through your journey. And then I mean, and now like, well, don't stitch me up here, Mark. Like now we're pals. Like we meet up, we do
Yeah.
content, we do food, and we do supplements. Like it's super cool to see like where we've both come and how our paths ended up crossing professionally, as well as from just watching what each other have done. So
Yeah. No, I love it, mate. I love seeing veterans succeed. And I think it's a mindset shift, right? Where when you leave the military, whether you do it intentionally, if you come to the end of your time, or you're medically discharged for whatever reason, what I've experienced is the people that can switch their mindset the quickest and almost look at it as, right, that chapter's over. There's a new chapter I'm about to write. This is version 2.0 or 3.0 or 4.0 of me now, depending on where you are in your life. I'm proud of what I've done in the past, but I've got to focus on now, and I've got to focus on the future. I've found that they're the ones that thrive in the civilian world, and and I'm talking about like up to the highest ranks, where they've got that humility to be able to go, okay, I used to be a WO1, I used to be a brigadier, but that's not me anymore. I'll always be proud of that, but this is who I am now. This is what I'm going to do now. and they can just drop it the minute that they walk out those gates on their last day. And I certainly had to do that. I had to reinvent myself and look at a version 2.0, and then and it sounds weird because I pretty much built my civilian career on what I did in the military, but I don't live there. You know, it's a place that I've used it to a positive degree. But I want to go back to the beginning of your career because we are friends and we do meet up and we do work together and we socialize together. But I don't know a massive amount about your backstory or about what got you in the military. So let's go from the beginning. You know, what was it that led you into the military, and in particular, the branch of the military and the regiment that you were in?
A few bits really. One bit actually, and it's he doesn't actually know this, so I'll say it anyway because I'm sure he'll watch the podcast. So there's a guy that I used to work at a leisure centre with, Tom Dean. Now I hadn't seen this guy for 15 years. We were both little tearaways as growing up. Like we used to like going out, doing all that stuff, and he was just like, I'm more. There's more in me than working at a leisure centre. And he went off and joined the RAF, and that was. I was thinking about this because he came over to my house at the weekend, and it was like a pivotal moment of being like, actually, yeah, like you're one of the reasons why I then even contemplated looking at the military to be like that could be like a cool choice, and
Mm,
that then brought my attention to what was going on at the time. Herrick started kicking off, and it was a thing. And again, I was still very young. I was only 14 or 15 when the first Herricks happened. And then fast forwards, and I'm like, well, this is going on. Then the whole Ross Kemp on Afghanistan thing came out. And then I looked a little bit more to it. I went to a careers office, and I was like, oh, well, like, this has happened. There's a guy there, Sergeant Scythorn, and his first words, you might want to bleep them, but it was, we don't send no cunts to my regiment. That's mine. Like, we're a very, like, tight-knit group of people, and you've seen some stuff on telly and you think you got what it takes. And I was like, you know, that typical, like, attitude, like, young lad, like, yeah, of course I have. What do you mean? I've got what it takes. And I was met with that. And then, dare I say it, like, the rest is history. So after watching Tom join, and he did join the RAF, so he did join.
So it wasn't much more difficult than a leisure centre, was it? If you joined the RAF, it was only a little bit more challenging.
Physically, yes. But mentally, like, although, yes, the military's hard, the biggest difference I find from Civvy Street is, like, you're rewarded directly for being at the right place at the right time with the right kit and the right attitude, and you're rewarded for it. And so you see a direct from week one, day one, you see reward, be it, oh, you're not going to get absolutely beasted because you've done what you were asked to do. And that reward system straight away, you're there like, wow. And that reward system leads to a bit of purpose.
Mm.
And it was, yeah, those 2 points were, so Tom and then Scythorn were the two things that made me join. And the reason I joined One Royal Anglian, the Vikings, is because it was my local regiment. I'd watched it, I read the book, I'd watched the thing on TV, and I was like, I want to do that. That seems pretty alley, to be fair. These are like men. These are proper men. So I went and joined, and I got adulted very quickly.
Yeah. That's really interesting that you joined when Afghanistan was going on. Because I joined in February 2001 and I finished training in October 2001, and it was 4 weeks after 9/11 happened. So I didn't join with that mindset of, you know, something's going on, I've got to join, I've got to do my bit. I
Yeah,
was in a completely different place. I joined because I wanted to walk around with a six pack and in a military uniform, acting like a tough guy, thinking that I was Rambo, completely different. So when you saw that, that's one of the reasons that caused you to go down to the career center, right? Was that from some sort of sense of service or purpose, or you just felt the right thing to do?
it just felt like the thing to do. And I'm not going to lie, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was just adamant to join the armed forces. I did also go to the RAF careers office and the
Oh,
Royal Careers office, and I was just like, I just want to join. But then when I watched that documentary with Cy Thorne and watching him in that as a corporal, and watching the guys, and it's the local regiment to me is the Vikings, recruiting from Cambridgeshire, where I'm from, Suffolk, Norfolk, and Essex. And I was like, that's what sold it for me. Watching that was like, it's local to me. Like I know of some of these guys, like they're like a few years above me from school, and schools above. One of our corporals in training, Tom Fish, and I'm like, wow, he was literally like 3 years ahead of me, at school, and we were both like, oh yeah, that same teacher that's pretty hot, and yeah, no idea who he was, just knew that he went to the same school, thinking he'd joined, done well, promoted quickly, done tours, and yeah, absolutely wild.
It's interesting. I had a couple lads that same situation were a couple of years ahead of me at school, and then when I went to Limpston to do my 3 day potential Royal Marine course, one of them was running the 3 day course. And it was a little bit like, I mean, we never spoke in school because you know what it's like with the different years, different age groups. You don't really socialize with people 4 or 5 years older, whatever it is. But then to see him as a corporal running people through the potential Royal Marines course, it was weird, and it opens your eyes to what it is you're actually joining. And like you said, you have to grow up very, very quickly.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, absolutely.
what's great about relaunching this podcast and doing this and having guests on like yourself is I think maybe some people, civilians especially, assume that if you've served in the military, that you know everything about the military and you don't. And so, what I want to ask you is I don't know a massive amount about the army. I don't know a massive amount about the training that you do. So, for the regiment that you join, I think I know a little bit, right? You all join and do the same kind of basic training, right? And then you go off to phase 2 and these other phases. Is that right?
Kind of. It's all, especially when I joined, like the older boys. I mean, like I don't want to insult anyone's age here. It used to be down in Bassingbourne, and then your phase two would be up in Catterick, I think. When I joined, it was just all at ITC, the Infantry Training Centre, so all in Catterick. So you got like your 5 week like intro up until when you're allowed to DOR, so discharge as of rights. Then you finish like I think your phase one, which is like week 12 or something, and then you carry on up to 26 weeks. But it's basically there isn't a phase one or phase two that you'd know as a recruit. It's just you've got 26 weeks of training, then all of your other little bits, driver stuff, bit of leave, then you go to your battalion. So I think overall it's about 28 weeks or something as a whole, and it's not as a defined phase one, phase two. It's just it's training. You're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything just flows through naturally. And yeah, pass off parade. Our pass off parade was actually on Remembrance Day. It was that was pretty special
Wow,
to me. Yeah,
absolutely.
literally 11/11. Yeah, it was wild
That's
thinking
fun.
back to it, and then I went straight back to a house party. With that immense sense of pride of like I'm a soldier, and I mean we joined and been asked, oh, which battalion do you want to go to? I'm like, well, I've joined the Vikings. I want to go Vikings, and some people are like, oh, I want to go Poachers, our sister battalion. Um, but all of us that were going and joining the Vikings, we knew full well that we passed out in November. We knew full well come March we were being deployed um, on Herrick. So it was quite daunting. And again, compared to like, well, even to call it our predecessors, the guys that have done like your Herrick 6, Herrick 11, and then the Herrick that we did, it was nowhere near the level of warfighting of what they did. But still, as a young 20-year-old guy, thinking like that's what we're going to. You had no idea of it. I look back on it now and think it's actually pretty mad. Um, we're knowing that like we're joining and like we're picking that battalion because we know that like we're going to Afghan was I look back at it and think mad. We're all mad.
Yeah, it is a bit of a weird mindset, isn't it? Like I said, nothing was really going on. I think we were coming to the end of Northern Ireland when I joined. I think I just missed out on that very last tour in 2002. But I didn't join because there was some mad conflict going on. I just joined because, first of all, I wanted to test myself. And second of all, I just felt the natural urge to be of service. And there's a part of me as well that, I got bullied at school and I detest bullies. And joining the military, I thought this is an opportunity on a global scale to get rid of bullies. You know what I mean? And bad people that do bad things in the world. So it wasn't like anything was really intense when I joined in and I dove into it with this mad focused missional purpose. But we're going to go back to training a little bit. because I'm always keen to dig into people's experiences and their mindset. What did you find most difficult about training?
The discipline,
Yeah.
I think. One key bit, another local guy, Johnny, I forgot his last name, one of our other corporals, banging my tabs in, like corporal I am, like going through doing our like your review process, and they'd said to us, Corporal Coffin was our section commander, and he was like, "You didn't bang your tabs in properly. I didn't hear you." And I was like, "Oh, integrity. No, Corporal, I did. Like I did." And he's like, "Okay, well, I didn't hear you, but I was so fixated on that. Like I've got to have integrity. I did." So then
Mm.
be like, actually, like I'm not listening to what's being told to me here. And then I got quickly educated to not answer back. So okay, you're given a chance. Yep, we appreciate you. You said you did it, but we didn't hear you. And I was so fixated on no, I've got integrity. I definitely did it. Like
Mm.
I got educated to learn when to stop,
Yeah.
learn when to yeah. I was
What did
very
it?
I was verbally assisted into understanding what that it's important to be able to hold your tongue because no one was in the wrong. I wasn't in the wrong. I did bang my tabs in, but also like you respect the rank, and they didn't hear me, so I should have been quiet. And it, yeah, clear as day. That was the first sort of like mistake I made that was like really called out and like, oh wow, yeah, shit. Realize I'm in the army now. Like going through training, you can't just talk to people being like, no, you're wrong. Like to like a guy that's done like 3 tours, 2 of Afghan and 4 tours, sorry, Iraq and Northern Ireland. And I'm telling him like, no, I did. You're not listening.
Yeah. That's never gonna
no,
go. That's never gonna go down well.
no, but that was that was understanding that discipline and again discipline to be okay. I think I did something. I'm in the wrong because I didn't do it loud enough. Step back, apologise, and carry on. You can't always fight the good fight thinking you're always in the right. But yeah, discipline to hold yourself, compose yourself, and understand that like again like into life, like, life isn't fair. Um, and yeah, that was a real like early week like standout moment of like learn your place, learn where you are.
Yeah, it's a funny adjustment, isn't it? Like what the one thing I didn't want to do when I was doing these podcasts is always refer back to myself because it's not about me, but it's just the way you when you say certain things and it brings up a memory, right? And what I mean is, I was going to ask you what kind of a person you were while you're in training because I was always the grey man. In my mind, it was like, right, do what you're told, do it well, keep your mouth shut, hope for no one notice you, and then you get to the end of training and you're good to go. And that's pretty much what happened. I think I got to like week 26 out of 30, and most of the training team didn't really know who I was. Do you know what I mean? A few of them had changed over. But what was your, were you like, because you get the clown, right? You get the funny guy, you get the gobshite, you get the one who's super good at everything, and then the one that's super shit at everything. And there's always these personalities, right? What was your personality going through? Which one were you?
Um, I was a bit of a mix. I was one of the fittest guys there, and they put me down as second fittest recruit, of which I was absolutely gutted for not winning. Um, a reasonable shot. I'm pretty sure I hit marksman. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. I'm pretty sure I did when we were doing our ACMT and learning about that. And then not answering back, but being very opinionated is
Okay.
the best way of putting it. But it gets drilled out of you very quickly. But I was always talking as well, like fucking Sir Talk a lot over it. Like, I always had a question on something, and if I couldn't like get my head around it, I'm like, yeah, but corporal, like, don't understand. Like,
Did you get a nickname?
um, well, that's where Bez came from because no one could say my last name.
Is it? That's
Yeah,
funny. It's the same as mine. Like mine's Ormrod, which isn't. I don't think it's complicated as yours.
no,
And I used to get called Ramrod, which after a bit of research, I found out was a name of a plane. I think in the
Yeah.
first, but also that long stick that they used to bang the ball bearings down the rifles with when they used to load them with gunpowder. But then in the Marines, lads put ERS and everything, so it's redders, threaders, and so they took one rod and instead of abbreviating it, which is what I thought they were doing, they actually lengthened it to rammers, which never made any sense to me, and also it's not that difficult to say. But yeah, same as you, it's a bit of a complicated surname, so lads just come up with a nickname, right?
Yeah, are you sure Rabbits was an abbreviation of something else that you were always like
This,
getting up
this is
to?
what a lot of people assumed, and I always used to have to tell them from the get go, it's not what you might think it is. It's just because I've got a strange surname. Um, but yeah, it's funny that people come up.
You get quite a normal surname, I thought. It's just nice and easy, two-syllable word.
It's what I
Not looking
thought.
at mine, it looks like a jumble of letters put together.
Yeah. Right, let's fast forward because you said when you joined up, Herricks were going on. Which Herrick did you deploy on?
At 16,
16. And what year was that then? That was probably 2016.
2012.
Which one?
2012.
2012. All right. And that was your first tour. You happy to talk about that?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, compared to um, again previous guys and previous tours, like ours was tame compared to, especially like, 'cause I was having done Herrick 6, like hearing the stories from that, like those boys are like they sort of defined our battalion and what they were, and a lot of our screws then were bods on that tour. Our seniors up to colour sergeants were all like screws up, etc. on Herrick 6, so it was, yeah, we were very much like a battle hardened battalion, and then gone on Herrick 11 after Herrick 6, like 18 months, 2 years between the tours, then deploying again. So our tour was very, very tame compared to anything that had come before it. But yeah, right attitude, right kit, where we took over from, putting everything in place that our head shed wanted to do was very good. There's a few incidences. Again, nothing compared to the other guys. Not to dumb down what had happened, and we unfortunately lost Corporal Alex Guy on that tour. I only knew of him; he wasn't a personal friend. He's Corporal Guy, MC as well. He had like recruited a few guys, like they were in my section 2IC, so he was like highly regarded. But yeah, it was very eye opening, going out there. And again, there was a lot more stability when we went there than compared to the early Herricks.
Was it what you expected when you hit the ground? Was it? I mean, obviously you've seen a lot on the news to that point, and you've got a lot of the feedback from the lads from previous tours. Were
Yeah,
you prepared?
not really. So you build up like a worst case scenario in your head, don't you? I mean, we've gone out there, done our acclimatization, been like, gone out there, got on the Chinooks, flying out, and you're like, fucking hell, like this is it now. Like, here we go. Like, thinking like we're going in, it's going to be like scrapping from day one, and it wasn't. Um, but as soon as you come off that Chinook, it was like heart, adrenaline was going, like young lad thinking, holy shit, like I'd been given, like, again, as you well know, like being given the general, being given the GPMG was like a massive privilege, and to be given that, I was like, wow, like our platoon sergeant obviously thought a lot of me, um, to allow me to have it, and yeah, it was very different to what I'd expected and what I'd built up in my head.
It's funny you say that because that was my experience of Iraq. Was that it was slow and quiet. That was my personal experience. I know there was a lot of other stuff going on Telic One, but then Herrick Seven was the complete opposite. It was just chaos all the time. And I remember flying out of Camp Bastion, flying into Fob Robinson, and as the Chinook landed, I was, you sit opposite each other on the back. I was the first one off with the guy opposite me, and we ran out into this cloud of dust, and I thought we're going to be, hitting the ground and all around the fence, taking cover. And then out this dust cloud, this guy came walking through with no shirt on, with this big handlebar moustache and flip flops and shorts. And he's like, "Oi, lads." And I was like, what's going on? I thought we were going to be running straight into a firefight. And then, we got into the farm and we got settled in our compounds, and then the chaos ensued. But it's funny how everyone has those different experiences, isn't it, of what you think is going to happen when you hit the ground, and then what it's really like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember like flying in on the Hercules into Camp Bastion, thinking like, "What's going on here? Like, are we going to scrap now? Like, what's happening?" It was very much like, it was obviously so the old when the Battle of the Bastion happened while we were out there as well. When Camp Bastion got attacked,
Okay.
we were out in our fobs and PBs then as well. So that stuff was still going on. It wasn't quiet by any means, but yeah, like the boys that had been before us had cleared up a lot of the naughty people,
Mm.
and they were very much elusive. And then as times come to pass, evidently Terry was sat there waiting for us to leave, knowing that we would at some point. What's the point of fighting? Obviously, we were the enemy to them. What's the point in fighting? We can't sustain it forever. They bit their tongue, waited. As soon as we went, that was them. Cool, cheers. We'll have it back. Thank you for building it up how we want. We'll have it back now.
Yeah. Bit of a
Bittersweet.
yeah, bit of a weird situation to find yourself in, that, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
And is that's the one tour you did out in Afghan, is it?
yeah, yeah. Just that one tour.
And it was okay, relatively quiet.
Yeah, yeah. It was nothing out of the ordinary. We got hit by an IED. I mean, that was, I believe it was when I think it was after Alex Guy had been killed. We were out on an op. Um, it may have been before. I can't remember. Um, we went out. We were supposed to be on foot patrol, going on this op. We avoided some ground sign in the vehicle, and the next thing we know, bang! Like see the sky, fireball, dust. Then woke up like smashed my head about. John Rowland had 2IC and a kind of small contact with a building. But yeah, that was humbling to be like, wow, it was anti personnel on top of an anti tank. So thinking if it had been again like the IED that you stood on,
Mm.
you'd been on a anti personnel on an anti tank. We both know like if a bloke steps on that, you're there's no possible way of you're red mist, aren't you? So
Yep, absolutely.
I'm grateful that we were in a vehicle on that.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, man. And so, the tour goes as well as it possibly could, right? There are tragedies and there are incidents, and then you come back. So, did you have a plan for your career when you came back, or were you just going to wing it and see what happened?
I was very much like, let's just see what happens. Like, I still loved the army. I was like, I can't wait to like promote, and obviously, like, there's always conflicts in battalion, like who thinks who should do what.
Hmm.
Um, I was again like really fortunate. Again, I was very outspoken. Like, I spoke my mind um, where I thought they were, but again, like the military, like you're treated like an adult. If there's a disagreement, it's sorted out and it's done and forgotten. I promoted really quickly. I was only in battalion 2 years before I picked up my first banana. Which again, like I don't know if the Royal Marines are the same, but for ours it was very much like 4 years per rank minimum. Like it's time served. So to be promoted so quickly was, yeah, again humbling.
That's
Um,
cool.
Went
Yeah.
out after that, and again I was so keen for the army. Like I was as green as they come. Went out to Kenya, and I broke my knee quite badly. Trenches. That was horrible. Stayed out in the field for a day and a bit. I mean, my knee was so massive; it was unreal. And I was like, no, I'm definitely going back out. And that's when I'm like, actually, like, I am in shit state here. Like, my knee was like, it was like the size of football. They're like, do you want crutches? No, I don't want crutches. In weak, I
Yeah.
ain't crutches. Hobbling
Yeah.
about. It took me back to Nairobi, and I was like, mincing about. And in the end, it took me like a good few days to be like, yeah, I need help. So I got a tear in my MCL. I refused. I was like, I ain't having surgery. I ain't having this. Got flown back. the UK, did rehab, and at that point I was just like, you know, sort of not falling out of love with the army, but I was like, this is crap. And I'd discovered like the gym. I'd always enjoyed going to the gym, but the PT core, and I was sort of like, this is something that I could see myself doing. Like I've got a massive interest in human performance, and gym and training. So have a look at it. So went away, did my PTI course. Absolutely loved it. One of the best courses in the military, I think. It's very
Is it?
informative, very grown up. There's none of these. There's no paper passes. It's you need to know your stuff. A lot of good guys, and we've got a lot of athletes that have been PTIs and gone and joined the PT core subsequently. So it's yeah, absolutely loved it. And then I started having a few head dramas, we'll call it, and that was ultimately combined with my knee what led to my MD, which was unfortunate to say the least. But
And so that's how you left. Was it medical discharge?
yeah, my golden handshake and a couple of quid. I mean, next to nothing. And it was, yeah. I mean, I remember sitting in my med board and like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to stay in. I'd like to go PT core. This is my plan of doing it. This. They're like, cool little deliberation. Let's talk. Come back. And I was told that like you can influence the med board. Like if you want to stay in, they'll find a way to help you stay in. If you want to be out, they'll find a way for you to be out.
Mm.
Came back and they were like, "Yep, cool." So we decided P0, no possible return to service, and my life just like crumbled away from me. Then I was like, "Do you mean P0?" Like, just said that I want to stay in and go PT core. Like that's a viable route to go to stay in. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. And then after that, I just was like, turned my back on it. I was like, the military hasn't got my back. They just want me to be gone. And yeah, that was that. Had 6 months to sort my admin out, um, and that was that really.
It's a very cold process, medical discharge, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
very, very.
I remember being sat in Whale Island with three naval officers across from me who I didn't know. And obviously, our situations are very different, right? There's no way I could go back to being fully fit, and I knew it was coming. But I spoke to a lot of people on that day after as well, and they had similar experiences. Like it's very cold and clinical, and I imagine that it does hit you hard, because I don't know. It's just it's not easy to hear that kind of news, and then your whole world kind of shatters, and then you got to pick up the pieces and figure out what to do moving forward. So, I mean, what did you do from there? What was the next phase?
I was like, well, I wanted to do gym stuff, work in like human performance, really big interest in it. So I was like, the natural thing is to be a personal trainer. Already had my quals. I had to redo the level 3. So level 2 they were happy with. They're like level 3 you need to redo. So they're like, let's a year course. I was like, I don't know that. I don't need it. I know my stuff. Went in. It took me uh, a week to do it. I had to go and do the classroom attendance. Booked back in to do the exam, the practical exam. All the paperwork was done. I got everything nipped within. I think it was 4 weeks from them saying, "Oh, it's a year's course." The 4 weeks I was done, passed, had it. Just because I'm like, I've got to keep focused on something. If I don't, then I'm gonna be in a world of hurt. Like I've now, like I've got a house. I'm living with my partner at the time. Like, okay, she's got a job, but like if I don't now, I'm so used to having for the last like nearly 7 years, like a paycheck at the end of every month, whether I'm in work, not in work, tour, not on tour, on leave for 3 weeks. Like I've got the same money every month. My accommodation, food's paid for. I've now got to pay for a house. I've got to pay for my food. I've got to go to work. I have to. I mean, you have a heavy night in the military and you don't turn up at work the next day. You get your knuckles wrapped. You're a bit of a dickhead. This and that. You're still getting the same amount of money. You're not going to get your house taken away from you because you've not paid your bills. you don't have to worry about gas and electric, and all of these things became like a real world, like, wow. And so there I am, coming out being like, I want to be a PT, like I enjoy it. And the first sort of 2 to 3 months were absolute hell. It was awful. I had no clients. Um, I had virtually no money, and I was like, wow, what do I do? I was driving about in a £100 smashed up Vauxhall Vectra with a hole in its exhaust because that was all I could have. I was like driving it, like putting it in neutral and gliding where I could to try and save on fuel, um, because things were that tight. Thinking like how I'm gonna. I didn't really use supplements because I couldn't afford them. Yeah, it was really. I'd sold everything. I had like TVs, bikes, everything when I knew I was coming out, um, to make my way. And it was, yeah, the little bit of money on med discharge we had didn't last very long, and I was fully prepared to be like, well, if it doesn't work, I've always got mum and dad, so guess I'm going to move back near Cambridgeshire from Andover, where I was. Like, that's not the end of the world, is it? Mum and dad will have me. Um, Come January, and it just exploded. I don't know what happened. I mean, I did. That's unfair. I do know what happened. I was very good at personal training, caring about my clients, caring about their progress, being there for them. I didn't see them as a cash cow, and I very quickly, within a month, had a waiting list for people to do PT with me. I was doing 60 hours a week, and I was like, "Wow, this is gonna, my bubble's gonna burst soon. My bubble's gonna burst soon. Like, there's no way this can continue. Like, what am I doing? I'm like late 20s, and like I've actually got a job that's like I enjoy. It feels like the military because it's a job, but it's not a job. I don't see myself as getting up and having to go to work. I get to go home at lunch and see my dogs. I get a train during the day, and then obviously the first thing I did was buy a ridiculous car.
Right.
Um,
What'd you buy?
bought a C63 AMG, so it was like a
Ooh.
dream time, and I was like, wow, I've got to have that. That's a big like man's car, a full fat
Mm.
V8, 6.3 litre V8, and yeah, and that was like, and that car was a reasonable amount of money. It was like, again, like so irresponsible. Like, it was almost all the money I had all into a car, and I was like, yeah, love it, cars. Yeah, always loved cars, always loved them. Had nice cars when I was in the army, and yeah, always spent my money on cars. Just enjoy them. It's my thing. And yeah, it was just going on, ticking along. And then that's sort of where my first issues started arising, being in a civilian workplace. I'm used to right kit, right time, right attitude, and you can't go wrong. And it was served me really well. I was in the right place at the right time with the right kit, with the right attitude for my clients, and I was being rewarded for it because people wanted to stay with me. I do like I want to build people up so you don't have to stay with me for personal training. You can now leave and train yourselves, and nobody would leave. I mean, to the day, I still do 4 people that I've done since then, since 2017, 18, yeah, 2017, the same people. During COVID, I did them via like Zoom like this, and yeah, they're still with me to this day. I don't do a lot of it now, but there's those few people that I still do, yeah, to the day, which is super humbling. And I mean, been on a lot of journeys with them as well. So it's, yeah,
That's what a lot of, I think, and we're going to get on to business in a minute, but that's what I think a lot of business is. It's relationships. You have people that chase the money and the status and the fame and the glory and all that kind of stuff. And then you get the people that genuinely care. And I've done a lot of personal development over the years, been to a lot of seminars, read a lot of books, all this kind of stuff. And one of the business seminars I went on, one of the people said that all business really is solving a problem for somebody, which in your case is getting them fit, getting them healthy, and then caring about them and having a relationship with them. But people overcomplicate it, I think, and
yeah,
or
absolutely.
they'll overwhelm themselves by looking at people that they put on pedestals, like the most famous, successful people on the planet, and think they're lucky, they're special, and I'm sure to a degree they are. But it's also hard work, grinding, having the right mindset and the right attitude, and just caring for people, and you've proved that.
Absolutely, I think that applies to everything in business. If you care, you do. I mean, I'm sure I could do far better financially than what I ever have done. But I go to bed every night and I'm happy with who I am. I'm happy with what I do.
Mm.
I'm not looking over my shoulder. I'm not worrying about paying bills and we've grown like this big. And I was actually talking to someone this morning about Brewdog, how massive they've got. But the guy that founded it, where they were again growing so quickly to 160 million, but also with that came like 59 million deficit. And the guy that founded it stepped away this year. I couldn't imagine doing that. Like founded Combat Fuel, have all of that money, and then leaving it. And it's sort of not what I do. And I don't think I'm an example to anyone. I'm just a guy doing my thing, and it seems to have kind of worked out okay.
Mm.
Um, but again, like the Combat Fuel side of things has always just been just very selfishly make products that I like, and hope that other people will like them. And yeah, it's
Well,
done
clearly,
okay.
clearly they do. I know I do. I've
Yeah,
got a kitchen full of them. And here's the thing as well, mate. Right? And I don't say this to blow smoke up your ass. I've met a lot of people over the years, a lot of people in the business world, and you're on the rarer side of it. And I'll give you an example why, right? So I don't know when this podcast is going to go out, but I've been running on my Instagram this 12 days of giveaways, and I was racking my brain thinking of what I could do. And I messaged you and said, "Can I give away some combat fuel stuff?" And you went, "Yeah," like instantly, like, "Yes, brother, no problem. Give me your address." And then I gave you a little list of stuff, and it turned up. And a lot of people won't do that because they'll look at how much money has that lost me. But your first of all, your passion for what you've created, your ability to want to help people is key in all this what we're talking about. But I think you've got the long term view in mind as well, which this is where I see not just in business but in life a lot of people they mess up, especially when there's money involved, because they look at the short term. What can I get now? How much can I make now?
yeah,
Me, 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 me. They don't
yeah,
look long term. So by doing that, immediately that may not have had a massive return for you. Well, I had no return for you, right? But I will talk about that for years to come, right? Whether it's on a format like this that goes out to the internet, or whether it's in a room full of veterans, or whether it's at a business conference or a net, I'll talk about that, which long term will generate, first of all, interest. They'll jump on your website. They might want to find out about you. They'll buy some of your products. One, two, three, four new customers could turn into 20-year customers, generating X amount of money. But so many, I find it very rare to find people that think the way that you think. Have you always thought that way, like long term?
a little bit. So something to get onto that, like, and very much so. We don't sponsor as a company events. I don't really like it. I don't think it's a bit false. It's a bit of a false economy. Whereas like our athletes, and you see from the athlete group, like if guys have stuff that they want to do and we can support, then we will. Obviously, there has to be a line where we have to be like, right, we're not a charity. We can't just give if we gave everything to everyone that asked, we'd be bust within a couple of months.
Of
I mean,
course.
we have like 100+ requests. So what I always take the approach of is support's a two-way street. So everyone that's an athlete of the brand, bar a couple, because I really wanted to work with them. But like take yourself for example, you already used our products before and you knew they were good. Okay, so you've committed to putting money in my company because you like what I make. So can I return the favour? And like a big thing, like if we ever do photo shoots and like the guys, and I'm like, if people are, or we've got events on, and everyone's in a different position in their life, be it financially or whatever it is. If we can support, we will support. And all I ever ask the guys is like, just put yourself in my shoes, and what would you want? And it's never really gone wrong so far. I mean, there's an email this morning. I won't mention any names. Like, oh, I'm doing this, me, me, me. I'm like, you're an absolutely brilliant athlete. I would love to have you on board.
Mm.
quickly put into the website on our back end his name. Oh, I can't find any orders from him. So our email back is, why do you want to be part of Combat Fuel? You don't even know the product's really good. However, you can then get into, and which obviously we did detail there, do you buy from a retailer? Do you buy in store or anything like that? If you do, please let us know and we can discuss further. But yeah, support's a two-way street. Like, you always support me, so why wouldn't we support you? I think there's a mutual understanding of all the athletes and all of the people that work with and do stuff for Combat Fuel. And I say Combat Fuel to an extent, I mean, like myself, like, so why wouldn't we want to support you back? Like, if we can help people out, like we've just had the guys helping out with their flights to Vegas to go and fight in jiu-jitsu, one of the CrossFit athletes going out to Tenerife, some other CrossFitters going out to Strength in Depth. If the bodybuilders are competing, like, can we support you with your show? Can we help you with this? A lot of the guys are coaches. Okay, you're doing that. What can we do to support you? And I mean, and I call him out, Dean Hammond. I say call out, that sounds really horrible, doesn't it? I will praise Dean Hammond.
Right.
He did a workshop, and he's like, cool, I want to do some Combat Fuel shakers. I want to put some samples in there, all of that. He's like, let me know the cost. I'm like, well, tell you what, Dean, if you like put your code in there, we print you some stuff off, we'll fill them up. Like, we'll just do it. Like, you know, that's a direct return for us. We're going to put product in people's hands. They're going to try it, then they're going to buy it. So he was adamant. He's like, if you do that, I'm not doing it. He's like, I want to pay for it. He's like, people are going to pay to come, and those that don't pay are already paying because they're part of my program. He's like, if you don't do it, I'm not doing it. So we agreed to do it at cost. And I think that's like, again, that's a support thing there where I'm like, we're going to get something out of this, Dean. But then the next time he turns around and asks for something, it was, it might have been Army football. I can't remember. Stuff he does with Keith Emerson. Oh, mate, by the way, we don't have a budget, but can you do this? Oh, do you know what? I remember that time that you turned around and you refused to let me help you out. So, yeah, absolutely I can. So, yeah, the whole point of that whole dribble of speech is support's a two-way street, and it's my pleasure to support people, and what goes around comes around. It does sometimes become quite hard when you have to say no, but in another podcast I did this, that power of no, like, it's not a dirty word, and you are allowed to say no to people. And if people respect you, they won't be offended by it. They'll be, if you turn around, oh, Alex, can we have this for the Christmas giveaway? Unfortunately, Mark, we can't. This is why. Okay, cool. How can we make this work? And I know that would be your attitude towards it. It wouldn't just be whatever, see you later. It's we're a good group of individuals, like, on the same wavelength, I think.
Yeah. No, I wish I was better at that whole no thing. It's literally the thing I've been working on for years. And I think, again, it's from our backgrounds, whether people know it or not, when you join the military, there's something in you that wants to be of service and to help. And so when people come to you and ask you for things, it's hard to say no. You know, even that is, when you look at, like, in your situation, the balance sheet, right? You could be in debt, and someone comes to you for a freebie, and there's huge part of you that just wants to give it to them, right? But you've got to be logical and smart and go, no, like, this is my business. You know, this is what we've got to do. And I have struggled for years with that. So hats off to you, mate, for, and it's very, very different, right? But hats off to you for being able to do that. Hopefully, maybe I'll set this as a New Year's resolution, to be better at saying no to people.
I mean, remember when we had the shoot and you were like, I've got to prioritise my family. Like, I'm really sorry.
That's my exact thing.
And what did I say to you? Like, it's cool. Like,
yeah.
There
but I sat there ruminating on that for ages, like, oh God, I'm going to let him down and he's going to think I'm a shithead. And I was like, oh, mate, I'm so sorry, but I can't. We've got gymnastics and football and an award ceremony and legitimate reasons, right? But you still got that part in you, like,
I always think, like, what kind of, like, person would I be if I'm like, fuck you, Mark, not coming to our photo shoot? Like, there's got to be another one, but, like, how dare you put your family and your children in front of my photo shoot? You know, like, it's just, that's not okay. If it was something that was like a really big event, like, and you cancelled, I'd be a bit like, oh, but then you probably wouldn't, because it'd be in your diary. It's like, that's a big event, like, your family know about it. But if it's actually, like, things, and not saying things at home aren't good, by the way. Just saying like if things at home, like I've got to do stuff at home. I need to be there. They're memories of your children growing up, and they're only growing up once. They're only doing these things once, aren't they? Yes, there might be another competition that your kids are doing, but that one again, Dean Hammond again, he missed an event because his daughters then qualified for the world final thingies in their gymnastics, and he's like, mate, like it's family. Like there will be another photo shoot. It's not the end of the world for us. It's not the end of the world for me. And yeah, like knowing that you guys, I like to think know that like you've got my full support regardless. I'm approachable, and it's yeah, we're always doing content. We're always doing stuff. We try and put stuff on for the athletes, like doing our families' day, having some barbecues, and people come to what they can do. And I don't think there's ever been a company that's as chilled out as what I am. But I think if I genuinely needed it, and I genuinely needed the support of the team, I'm pretty confident that I could pick up the phone to almost any one of you,
Mm.
and you'd answer and be like, "What do you need? We've got you." And that's a nice place to be, you know, like knowing that the support's there. Should I really, really need it? Should I really need something to be done personally or professionally to know that like the 48 of you guys that work with or athletes for Combat Fuel would have my back on it.
And that's a testament to you, mate, as a business leader, business owner and a leader. To that people will do that. There's 48 athletes there that, if they can, will absolutely drop what they're doing to come and help you if and when you need it. So, where's Combat Fuel at now? How long have you been going? Actually,
How's
you've been going since 2018, right?
yeah, yeah. So 2017 started all of the formulations, started putting money into where I wanted it. We also established 2018 as March when we had that horrendous snow. That's when we launched. So we launched and we couldn't send any products because the snow stopped. And I was like, wow. And that was like, okay, if there was never an introduction to doing business, then like if ever there was, then that was like a perfect example of how business was going to go. And it is so rocky. Like there's been its fair share of challenges, and yeah, I don't really have a goal for how big or small Combat Fuel might be. I just like making good products. I still go and pack orders 3 times a week at least. I'm massively involved in the brand. It's not just, and I always will be, as long as Combat Fuel's mine. Not saying that it's for sale or anything like that, but as long as I'm always involved in the brand, I'll always be there. I like being involved in it. I don't want to just sit back and watch it coming because that's not why it was started. Like I love watching it. I love like seeing people that I'm like, oh, I followed them on Instagram, or like, oh, this person, like they were chatting to me the other day. They asked for some advice on something, or seeing like the athletes discount codes get used, like Harry Shep, for example, like coaching a lot of guys to be Royal Marines, like to get through training, to see them like buying their creatine and their hydrate, and then seeing him sharing their results, like, oh, I recognise that name because I packed their order so long. And it's so weird. You think that, oh, you do, like the thousands and thousands of orders we get, you'll never remember their names, but you genuinely do. And the more people order, like because I'm so involved in the company, it's yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And yeah, my thing is cars. Like my thing is cars. Like I love cars. It's that's
I
not
went,
why I do Combat Fuel, but it allows opportunity, right?
I wanted to get onto this.
Oh,
'Cause like I said at the beginning, right? One of the things that brings me the most joy in the world is seeing veterans succeed, um, especially when they succeed at a phenomenal level. Now, I don't want to embarrass you because I know you're a very humble man, but I'm going to.
no.
Um,
What's coming?
because, and I love cars too, right? I'm pretty sure from memory, I only had a quick glance, but it was a 458 Italia that you
Four
bought. Or which one?
a 488 GTV.
So a Ferrari 488 GTB. That's all right, I suppose. That's a first step on the ladder to owning a decent car. It's not quite a £100 Vauxhall Vectra with a hole in the exhaust, but it's all
Yeah,
right.
I mean, do you know what I mean? It's been a long way from that, and I mean, after that car, I had a Skoda Octavia VRS. Like, I've had a few Skodas, I love them. And then it was like business needs to come first. Sell my car, put that money into combat fuel, get a van on lease so I can be completely committed to combat fuel. So I had no personal car; it was just a work van branded with combat fuel. I then bought a Skoda because I was like, I actually need to have a car now, and I'm lucky in a position that I can have a car. And then I had a divorce just to throw that in the mix because life would be boring if we don't have at least one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
After that, I have nothing bad to say about her either. Like everything happens for a reason. I then bought an R8 V10 Plus um,
Oh, yeah.
when I was 30. That was sort of my first like supercar, and it's very easy to like look in at people with like materialistic objects and think, oh, it's all right for you. I mean, like 20, 30 years ago, if you were buying a car like that, you look at someone and be like, whoa, that like must be so rich. Like nowadays, like, and not to devalue anything I've done, like I don't have any kids, I've got no responsibilities other than myself and combat fuel, like I don't do anything other than go on cheap flights across Europe that cost me like $9.99. So it looks like I have a extravagant lifestyle. I don't. I just enjoy it. But also I clap for myself, like I put in a hell of a lot of work. Like 16-hour days is like pretty normal still now. Like Tuesdays, I'm fortunate enough to be at home. Like I go away, did the podcast before this one. Once we finish this, I want to go to the gym. I'm going to train. I want to come back. I'm going to chill for a little bit. Might have an afternoon nap. But I know the guys have got it. Then we'll go training again tonight. But yeah, it's super humbling. And back to that, like looking at it, like nowadays, you can buy a supercar or any car you like. You can buy a car if you've saved up a little bit of money, you got good credit, you don't spunk your money, and you bang it on for supercars for supercar finance, and it's no different than a family car like the R8, for example. I don't mind talking about money, and I hope that other people that love cars start their own business and go and live out their dreams.
Yeah.
It cost me 350 odd quid a month for the R8 for a V10 Plus, which was cool. Obviously, there was a deposit to go with that, but again, I have no responsibilities other than feeding myself, and that's about it really. And then then had the Ferrari as well, which is quite cool.
Bit
It
more,
was
a bit more than £350 a month.
a little bit, but not ridiculously, not a ridiculous amount more. It's less than 800 a month, um,
That's
which is
decent.
pretty decent. Yeah, the R8. Again, I'm very fortunate. The R8's paid off, so I've got a big pinch me moment. Like looking back through photos, thinking, "Fuck me!" Like 7 years ago, I had nothing. Like I had absolutely nothing. I had £100 car that had a dent in its door. It had no fuel cap, a hole in its exhaust, and I used to park it by driving until I bumped into my wall. If I was in a car park, I'd just reverse it until it tapped the wall gently, and I'm like, yeah, it's parked, cool. To then be like where I am now, like 7 years later, and again, yeah, it's mad, absolutely mad. But
Let me ask you a quick question. And I think, unless there's anything else you want to talk about, I think this would be a nice way to wrap it up. But looking back on your journey to where you are right now, if you were given the option to give back the business, the money, the cars, and all that cool stuff, or to give back all of your personal growth and your experiences and your lessons that you've learned, which would you keep?
I'll make yourself 100% without question. Like the cars, all of that stuff, the house, it's lovely and it's very comfortable. Um, but not a second guess. Get rid of it because if you can find like happiness in yourself and you don't care like what other people think of you, but specifically that personal growth, that happiness in yourself, you will live a very very fulfilled life. Very very fulfilled life. Like that, there's nothing else to worry about. And I think it was Jim Carrey that said it. Um, your happiness is just who you are as a person, minus the envy of the things that other people have.
Mm.
If you forget all of the materialistic stuff and you have all of your personal growth and your personal development, you'll be the happiest man alive. And I think that's why I'm so chilled. Like, I'm in no disillusion that this bubble, this thing could burst and I could lose everything materialistic tomorrow. And I'd be okay with that, you know? I'd be very sad because I've worked very hard for it. But if it did all go, then okay, cool. I've had a good time, but it doesn't change me or who I am. You know, like my circle hasn't changed. I still see the same people over and over again. Like I still see all the athletes. Yeah, that was a long roundabout way of saying
No, perfect,
myself.
mate. And I think I've just found out the perfect way to finish this on a super positive note because you mentioned Jim Carrey. Another thing that he also said, and I may not get this exactly right, is in an interview he said, "I'm going to say something now." I think this is when he kind of tailed off of acting, and people were asking him why he wasn't making the movies anymore. And he said, "I'm going to say something now that you won't hear a lot of people in Hollywood say." He said, "I've done enough, I've got enough, and I am enough." And
Yeah,
that hit me, man. And that's what it's about, man. He's happy with his life, his career. He's got enough. He's not scratching for more. He's not, wants a bigger house, bigger plane, bigger. He's good. And I think a
yeah,
lot of people can learn from that kind of talk.
absolutely. And it's easy to say, oh, but he's like got like tens of millions. Of course he's going to be all right. Of course he's enough. But I think unless if you think that view, you're probably missing the point a little bit. And it's like whatever level we're at, and I'm sure you're the same. Like I feel like I am enough. I feel like I don't have anything to prove to anyone. I'm happy when I go to bed every night. Um, yeah. I remember when that statement came out when he did it, and I was like, wow, that hit
That's,
home.
yeah,
Absolutely perfect.
absolutely. Well, mate, listen, thank you so much again for being the first guest on the Mark Ormrod
Mate,
podcast.
honestly, honoured that you asked me to. And to be fair, when I saw you saying you were going to restart your podcast, I was like, I really hope Mark invites me at some point. Like, I don't mind doing these podcasts now. I feel like I'm comfortable enough in myself. Whereas before, I'd never do it. So I'm like, I've not done anything. Like, why would anyone want to possibly listen to me? Like that bloke that sells some powders that make you buzz. Um,
Well, mate, after listening to this, having hosted this interview, and after people listen to this, then you'll absolutely understand why people want to listen to what you've got to say, mate. Because you've been from the lowest to the lowest to the highest of the highs, and it's inspiring.
yeah, awesome, man. Thank you, and thank you for having me,
Right,
man.
man. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. I'll speak to you a bit sooner. All right.
See you, dudes.
Take care, mate.